I believe we have all committee members here, and moderator, I believe you've already started the recording, correct?
That is correct. Thank you.
All right, we'll turn it over to our chair, Steve Weeks.
Great, and thank you everyone for coming out today. We're in Los Angeles. We're having pouring rain, so I'm really happy I'm not traveling in this weather. But thank you all for your time in participating in this today. And we should start with the roll call to establish that we have a quorum for this meeting. So Natalie, do you want to take the roll?
Of course, Steve. Steve Weeks,
Present.
Tanya Fairley,
Present.
Yolanda Jimenez,
Present.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Present.
Jacob Rostovsky.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you very much, everyone. So with the quorum, we can now move on to the business of this meeting. And we should start with the approval of our September 11th committee meeting minutes. So if you have had an opportunity to review those, I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes and then a second.
Motion to approve. Tanya Fairley, I approve.
Thanks, Tanya.
Second, Yolanda Jimenez.
Thanks, Yolanda. So we have a motion to approve and a second. We now want to see if we have any public comment, either online or in person.
This is the moderator. I'll let the in-person go first. So whoever would like to facilitate that.
This is Christy. We have no public at this location yet.
Thank you. This is the moderator. So I'm going to open up the Q&A online. It is now open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. If you would like to participate, click that question mark inside of the square, which is typically located bottom right corner of your WebEx screen, and type the word comment in the text field. Make sure it goes to all panelists before clicking the send button. If you are calling in from a phone, you can press *3 to raise your virtual hand. At this time, I see no request for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Please. All right, with no public comment and with a motion and a second, we should take a vote to approve the September 11th, 2023 meetings. So Natalie, if you want to call roll.
Steve Weeks,
Yes.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Jacob Rostovsky.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Motion passes. Thank you, everyone. So now we can move on to the first of our housekeeping measures that we have to do today to pass on to the board. And that would be a discussion and recommendation of the establishment ownership types. Again, this is a housekeeping measure we need because a corporation, which we currently have listed under our regulations, and an LLC are not the same. They're two different animals, and they're recognized legally as separate entities. Being an LLC, limited liability company, is easier to start and maintain. It's more flexible. You see, it doesn't take a board of directors to run. Can have an unlimited number of members. These are often used by large law firms and accounting firms giving equity kickers to their people. And an LLC can't go public, but it is a different animal. And so being recognized as separate legal entities is important to our regulations. So Christy, do you want to comment on this?
Sure do. So in your packets is the recommended legislative change that we would bring before this committee. to make it very simple, just adding limited liability company to Business and Professions Code section 7347. So should the committee agree with this language, this is all that would need to be done. And I want to remind the committee that we have been issuing establishment licenses to LLCs for as long as I can remember. So it's basically just cleaning up this statute to make sure that it is clear that we do have the authority to do that. And this, should the committee agree to this today, we will take it to the board in February, and that will allow us to pursue an author that we could put this in a bill to change the statute. So again, it's just a minor change to section 7347, and a motion would be needed to approve this language and move it forward to the full board.
Does any member of the committee have any questions or concerns or would like to discuss this further?
I don't have any questions or concerns, but I'm assuming just based off of the type of work that most of like the establishments would probably be LLCs, or am I thinking more of a sole proprietorship if they're work like how many, what's the percentage do you think of LLCs? I'm just curious.
That's a good question. Christy, do you have that information handy?
I don't have the exact information. We did just look at a specific county for this, and we found that to be, it was actually low. It was around 5%. We do believe that most of our establishments are sole ownerships.
What I see in the market is the same thing too. It seems like most are corporations, but the last year or so, there's been kind of a drive to sell LLCs. So I would imagine also LLCs would be a very small amount of our buying.
I know
But still
that I'm
people.
I know that I'm an LLC, and most of my community in the LA Covina area are quite a bit LLCs, but we are a small number. So I would definitely see this as something that is going to probably increase with the way things are going.
Right, right. All right, if anyone on the committee has no further questions, maybe we can entertain a motion with a second.
A second, Jacob. Or wait, do I need the motion here?
Okay, so Jacob, you the motion and the second is who?
I'll second.
I can second.
Great, great.
I'm not sure we have a motion yet.
Yeah, this is Sabina. We need a motion first.
Sorry,
I
yeah.
would suggest, that's okay. I would suggest we just make the motion to recommend to the full board the above language from as amended section 7347 to the full board as a legislative proposal.
Excellent.
That I motion.
I bring that
just said.
motion to what Sabina just said.
Okay. And so then there'd be a second on that too. So if that's the case, then we should move to public comment either in person or online.
Christy, do we have any public comment here in the room? I'm seeing no public comment here.
This is the moderator. I've opened up the Q&A online. For those who are logged in and would like to participate, the instructions are on the screen for your reference. Click the question mark inside its square, type comment, send it to all panelists. Or if you're calling in, press *3 to raise your virtual hand. At this time, I see no request for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A?
Please do.
Thank you.
Being no public comment, then our next effect we would then take our vote. So Natalie, will you poll the committee members?
Of course. Steve Weeks,
Yes.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Jacob Rostovsky,
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone, for your vote on that, your diligence. The next item, the second item that we have to do is kind of record keeping here is to make a possible recommendation regarding implementing the 90-day retention schedule for our out-of-state license certifications. And on this, Christy, will you want to speak to this?
Sure. So this is the item that we discussed at our last meeting. This would be the actual regulatory language for this meeting to go to the board for this item. So what this does is it sets a retention schedule for how long we maintain an out-of-state license. So basically, when someone comes to the board who is licensed in another state, we are required to get a certification letter from that state. Oftentimes people will get that certification letter first. So we'll have that certification letter sitting in our records for several months. And what we want to make sure is that we are issuing a license based on reciprocity with another state to those who have a valid license. So we developed this time frame of 90 days because we wouldn't want to take a certification letter that was sent to us 8 months ago because something could have happened in that time to make their license go invalid. So this just gives us a little leeway to set a retention schedule for how long we hold those out-of-state certifications in our records at the board. And so what a motion would do is forward this information to the board, and then we would start the regulatory process after that.
Christy, this is Steve. Are we seeing any significant amounts of fraud associated with the timing of receiving this?
Well, we are seeing a significant amount of fraud with certifications from outside of California. This particular situation will not impact that because what we believe we're seeing is actually fraudulent people getting licenses in other states in a fraudulent manner. So we're seeing certifications being issued and then on the very same day applying for a license here in California. So this wouldn't impact that. These are actually more for the ones that really are trying to do it the more legitimate way. So the amount of fraud we're seeing is actually a separate issue than what we're looking at here today.
I assume there's nothing we can do in that area significant in legislation or anything else that would help you to prevent this fraud?
That's just that we're still looking at that. There's a lot of internal steps that are being taken on that situation right now.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions by the committee on this? If not, let's move to public comment.
This is Sabina. Would we want a motion first?
That's true. That would be very helpful for someone to comment on if we gave them a motion. Yeah.
You
So
can find
Go ahead.
you can find a potential motion at the end of that memo where it
Yes.
says recommendation, but you can just make a motion to recommend to the full board the above language for the proposed section 911 as consideration for a regulatory proposal.
Okay, so essentially implementing a 90-day retention schedule for out-of-state license certifications. Okay, so that would be our motion. Can we have a second on the motion, or can we vote on the motion? No, now we have to go with what?
Oh, I said I'll second.
Okay. That being the case, we're to public comment then.
Sorry, for the record, we're not here in the room. We did not catch who actually made that motion.
I didn't either.
Who actually made the motion?
Yes, who actually made the motion that I stated?
I'll make the motion of what Sabina stated.
Thank you, Yolanda.
No problem.
Great. Okay, now we can move to we have a motion and a second, so now we can move to public comment.
Looking for any public comment here in the room. And I see no public comment.
This is the moderator. The Q&As online is open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. If you're logged in through WebEx and would like to participate, click the question mark inside of the square, type comment, and send it to all panelists. If you're calling in via phone, *3 to raise your virtual hand. At this time, I see no request for public comment. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Please do. Since we've queried the public on this and there's been no public comment, our next step would be to vote on this resolution. So Natalie, will you call the vote?
Steve Weeks,
Yes.
Tanya Fairley,
Yes.
Yolanda Jimenez,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Jacob Rostovsky.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone, for that. Two very important pieces of housekeeping we needed to do. Next on our agenda is public comment on any items not on the agenda.
Looking for any public comment here in the room on any items not on the agenda. And I'm seeing no public comment here in the room.
This is the moderator. The Q&A is open. The instructions are on the screen for your reference. If you're logged in via WebEx and would like to participate, click on the question mark, type comment, send it to all panelists. If you're calling in, *3 to raise your virtual hand. No requests at this time. Would you like me to close the Q&A feature?
Please do. So being no public comment in the room or on the internet, we are then moving to committee member suggestions for future agenda items. Do any of you have any suggestions, future items that this committee should look at? I have one suggestion, and that is we don't want our bad actors appearing again after they've lost their establishment license in the form of being hidden from our board disclosure. And I'm wondering if this is a loophole we need to address. We currently don't require disclosure of corporate stockholders, LLC members, or salon management employees of a corporation or an LLC applying for a license. I'm wondering if we want to address this loophole so a formally disciplined establishment owner that had their establishment license revoked may not reappear in salon establishment management without our knowledge. So I'm wondering if maybe legal counsel wants to look at this or would want to put it on as a future agenda item. What are your thoughts, anyone?
I agree on that.
Okay, so that being the situation, we'll put that on as an agenda item at our next committee meeting then. And if there's no further discussion by anyone, any other items or discussions you want to take as a committee? If that's the case, then we will adjourn this committee meeting with thanking all of our members for attending it and getting involved the way you have. Thanks.
Thank you, committee members. Our next committee meeting will be the Enforcement and Inspections Committee.